Welcome to the Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving you my updated Oscar predictions for June, this time in the directing and screenplay categories. Now, I'm just going to jump right into it. We have Best Director, alright? This is post Cannes Film Festival, and I think Anora and the Seed of the Sacred Pig are going to be very strong. Especially given the narrative behind the Seed of the Sacred Fig. Oh wait, no, did I say pig? I meant fig. I always keep, for some reason, confusing that, like, whatever. The Seed of the Sacred Fig, there's a really good narrative out there that, Muhammad Rasulov, his movie has been banned in Iran, and so he has fled the country because there's an arrest warrant out for him. And, this has been acclaimed by so many people. And I think there's a good shot that this gets into Best Picture and Director. Anora's on here because I feel like, again, with Anora winning the Palme d'Or and Sean, Sean Baker is very likely to get nominated for Best Director. Now, why do I have Steve McQueen in winning for Blitz? Well, because at least right now, I don't have any other good alternatives. Like, there is Sean Baker for Anora, but I don't know. Is that going to be a thing that wins Best Director? I don't know. The Seed of the Sacred Fig, again, we'll have to see how that turns out. Dune Part 2, I'm scared that gets snubbed, to be honest. I do have it in right now, but, again, with the Oscars, they don't really like big blockbuster kind of stuff. Like, they didn't nominate Inception for director, The Martian, the first Dune, Avatar: The Way of Water, Top Gun Maverick, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Barbie. And people are going to say, well, with All Quiet on the Western Front, there was the whole thing about Edward Berger not being an established auteur director. Well, then tell that to Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, who managed to get in despite the fact that no one really knew that much about Justine Triet. So, I feel like it was more so the Oscars getting tired of, the big blockbuster kind of stuff getting in. So, yeah, right now I have Dune in, but I don't, we'll have to see how everything goes. I will say, if Dune does start winning critics awards for Best Director, and, start sweeping the critics circles, then, yeah, I do think that, Dune might have a bit of an advantage, but we'll have to see. But regardless, Blitz, why do I have Blitz in as the winner? Well, at least as of right now, again, it kind of makes sense so far, because here's the thing. One, it is a big World War II period film. All right, that's the kind of stuff that the Academy really likes. And also, I am expecting Blitz to do very well at the Golden Globes and BAFTAs especially. Even if Blitz doesn't ultimately win the Best Picture Oscar, I can see Blitz, doing very well internationally. And with that, we might also just see Steve McQueen start winning directors awards. And I feel like if that does happen, if this movie, because this movie could very well be like 1917 or The Power of the Dog, that movie that just seems like that front runner for a while, but then that little film just comes in, which I currently think that little film is Sing Sing. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking Blitz is going to be that early front runner, and even if the film doesn't win Best Picture, it's probably going to win Best Director, because again, World War II, a period film. Although granted, again, we haven't really had a directing winner like that in a long time. But I don't know. Well, again, that's the best option I have right now. And then Clint Eastwood for Juror Number 2. I still believe Juror Number 2 is going to be more, again, just generally more agreeable than some of Clint Eastwood's latest films. Again, you look at, even when it comes to American Sniper, which was nominated for Best Picture, there was controversy behind it, where it's really, are we really honoring Chris Kyle, this guy who, lied about, shooting looters during Hurricane Katrina and stuff like that? Really, it's just there's just a big question mark as to why you would want to do that. And then with Richard Jewell, again, kind of a controversial movie because Richard Jewell comes across as a big idiot who, all right, maybe he did do a good thing, like, with the, saving people from this bomb, but he's still a very, like, questionable man. But with Juror number 2, I don't know. I feel like everything just is kind of working in its favor. It doesn't really feel like it's going to be controversial, which is about a man who, goes to jury duty for like some serious crime. And then he finds out during jury duty, oh, wait, I may have been the one that committed this crime. And so I feel like I don't know, something about it makes me feel like it's going to be a generally agreeable movie. Like, even if it's not like everyone's number one, it's going to be like, you know what? Yeah. And especially if this is Clint Eastwood's last film, ending on a film that people find very, very agreeable and they enjoy quite a bit, then I feel like that'll just be enough to get in, and I feel like this would be considered like a send-off kind of nomination for Clint Eastwood, even though, again, narratives don't really happen that well, or at least narratives don't really work out that well with the director nominations at the Oscars. But again, right now, I just don't know who would be a good alternative. You could do Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, which I do have in Best Picture because it is most likely going to be the international feature winner. And it probably could get in, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be that strong for director. Again, we'll have to see. Greg Quedar for Sing Sing. If the Oscars really, really, really love Sing Sing, they could do it. But I don't know. I don't know whether this movie is going to be like Coda or if it's going to be a little bit stronger than Coda. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Sing Sing. Ooh. Yeah, it's just tough, because right now people are saying it's going to win SAG Ensemble, whereas with Coda, people weren't really thinking that. But again, I don't know. People just, but again, maybe Sing Sing does happen. We'll have to see. Todd Phillips for Joker, Fallait à Dire. I'm just going to say Joker 2 for now. I don't know if it's going to go that far again. Because again, Todd Phillips got nominated for the first Joker. But, however, I don't think Joker 2 is going to be as big as the first film. But then again, I'm also predicting it to win 2 Oscars. And it does have a very high potential for, like, a nomination ceiling. But I don't know. Will they want to nominate Todd Phillips again for Joker 2? Because it might very well happen at the Golden Globes, and it might very well happen at the BAFTAs. But it's just tough. It's really, really... And plus, it's also safe to assume that Todd Phillips was number 5 to get in, considering, he didn't get in at the Critics' Choice Awards or the Directors Guild Awards. He only had, Golden Globe and BAFTA. So, it's safe to assume that Todd Phillips for the first Joker was very safely a number 5 slot, and we're talking about a movie that is already if it gets nominated for Best Picture, it's going to have a big nomination ceiling. But if it doesn't get nominated for Best Picture, then it's probably going to only get maybe a couple of nominations. I don't know what's happening with this movie. See, that's just tough. And I guess it also depends on how acclaimed Joker 2 is. If Joker 2 is significantly more well received than the first Joker, then we may be seeing a stronger campaign. But again, it is a sequel. If this is a sequel, and directors don't usually get nominated for directors don't usually get nominated for sequels. The last one to do that, I feel was, I guess technically George Miller for Mad Max Fury Road, but at the same time, Mad Max Fury Road was something so wildly different from the Mad Max movies, and even in the Mad Max movies prior, did not get anywhere close to being in Best Picture. And then before that, you probably have to go back to maybe Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, and because even Christopher Nolan didn't get nominated for The Dark Knight, and it's just tough. Joker 2 has a ton of potential for nominations, and if it like, and it might be more like better received than the first film, but again, are they going to nominate Todd Phillips for a sequel? That's the tough thing. They don't really do sequels that much in Best Director. So that's the tough. That's just really tough for me right now. Robert Zemeckis for Here again. I've been feeling a lot more confident in Here again. It is Robert Zemeckis, and he's not really on the best streak right now. But however, Eric Roth is behind the screenplay, and so that could definitely help him. Because his the movies that Eric Roth has won screenplays over, have all gotten nominated for Best Picture, at least in recent years. So but again, I don't know if that would translate to a director nomination. Unless Here is like in serious contention to win Best Picture. But I don't know, something about the way Here is described, it's going to be more kind of experimental in a way. So I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be the case. But then again, the director's branch might like that. Rachel Morrison for The Fire Inside. You're probably wondering, wait, you have her in over like Pedro Almodovar and Luca Guadagnino. Here's the thing. Something that I've noticed when, like, throughout these past 3 years when they expanded the Best Picture category to 10 movies, or at least, like, locked it to a solid 10 nominees. Every film nominated for Best Director got nominated for Best Picture. I feel like once you expand the category to 10 movies, you're kind of locked in for, like, you're like, any movie that gets into Best Director is going to get in for Best Picture. You know, look at Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. That got into Best Picture. Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. That was a big surprise director nomination, despite him getting in nowhere else. But they nominated for also for picture and original screenplay. So you had that. And even both Jonathan Glazer and Justine Triet got nominated for director this year. Even like, so it's like, I feel like even if you're on the outskirts of like, if you're in the Best Picture 10, I'm gonna prioritize you in Best Director, because this, like, it just makes sense to me. And Rachel Morrison for The Fire Inside, again, The Fire Inside just might, like, it might be good enough to get into the Oscars for Best Picture, because again, initially I was kind of worried because the release date was in like the summer, and I was like, wait, I started thinking about that. I was like, it's not going to happen. But then it was pushed to December, and that's a big, meaty, it's a big, like, it's a good time during award season. Especially since, like, it's, look, and again, just look at the package. Picture, original, I think it's an adapted screenplay. Supporting actor with Brian Terry Henry, film editing. That's a good haul, but isn't enough to get in for Best Director. I'm not gonna say so. That's why I have her down like at the bottom among my Best Picture nominees. But again, I do want to prioritize Best Picture nominees in director over non-Best Picture nominees. Again, considering the past 3 years where we've had 10 nominees for Best Picture, they all got in. Like, all the director nominees got in for Best Picture. So yeah. But still, I'm really paying attention to The Room Next Door, though. Because Pedro Almodovar, this is his first English language feature, and this might happen. It could very well happen. Because, especially since you have Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore in there, like, this movie could potentially get, like, quite a few above-the-line nominations. Picture, director, I think it's an original screenplay, lead actress, supporting actress, and maybe original score, which that would be a below the line, but still, it's like, this movie could be very strong, but again, we'll have to see. His movies also are considered very strange, and they're not really that accessible for people, but again, like, I'm going to keep my eye on this. And plus, he would fit the bill for, like, an international director, and he is considered an established auteur director, so maybe that could actually work out. Luca Guadagnino for Queer. Again, I'm really trying to figure out what's going on with Queer, because I don't know. I know it's weird that I've been saying this, but it's like, are the Oscars going to nominate a movie for Best Picture called Queer? Because I don't know. There still might be, like, I don't know. Something in my brain tells me there might still be some sort of bias against that word. So I don't know. I know it's a weird thing to point out, but it's like, I don't know. I kind of have to think like an old person, but I don't know. Sean Wong for Dee Dee. This is in case I'm still wondering if Dee Dee will be a thing. Is Dee Dee actually going to be a thing this award season? I want to keep my eye on him, especially since, Nine Eye and Waipo got nominated for Best Documentary Short. So we'll have to see how that works out. If this movie, develops, a big, fan base, then we could see this get in. Edward Berger for Conclave. I don't know. Everyone has Conclave in the top 10. Something about Conclave doesn't sit right with me. The fact that it's this Vatican thriller, or mystery or something like that, I don't know. I just don't have good reason to believe this film is getting in right now. I don't know why. It's just something about it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. So we'll have to see. Ridley Scott for Gladiator 2. I don't know why I'm putting in Ridley Scott in the top 15, but however, there is a chance Gladiator 2 is well liked and people actually really like it. And again, the nomination ceiling would make sense. Granted, I don't know if it were to get into Best Picture. I don't know if I'd nominate it I don't know if I'd predict it for Best Director, because again, sequel. But if this does get into Best Picture, I have to consider Gladiator 2. And if it is in Best Picture, there are a lot of potential nominations. Picture, supporting actor for Denzel Washington, potentially cinematography, potentially costume design, production design, visual effects, score, maybe score. No, did I say score? No, I meant sound and score. Maybe score happens as well. But there's a potential for 8 nominations for this thing. So again, and that's if people really like it. If people actually like this movie way more than they did, Napoleon, which got 3 nominations, we'll have to see. Mike Lee for Hard Truth. I just don't know anything about I don't know. I don't know. Something about Hard Truth, yeah, I'm looking at the storyline on IMDb. It says ongoing exploration of the contemporary world with a tragi-comic study of human strengths and weaknesses. Okay, cool. What's the story? What is the story? I'm looking at this, a tough but compassionate and intimate film about family life that marks his return to a contemporary setting. Okay, what's the story? This is really giving me Bardo vibes, and I don't like that. It's it's way too vague in its premise, and it's also giving Babylon vibes. It's what is the story of this movie? A lot of these other movies, there is a clear, definite story, but here, there's just not. I know a lot of people are really thinking Hard Truth might get in, or especially for Screenplay. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just sounds way too vague to me. Ramel Ross for The Nickel Boys, if that gets in. Again, something about the premise of this film makes me feel like it's going to be more like Origin, where it's kind of experimental or something or I don't know. How are they going to adapt this story into a narrative film that the Oscars will want to vote for? That's the question I have right here. So yeah. Then we get to original screenplay. All right, original screenplay. This is very interesting. All right, this is very interesting. Right now I have Anora in. I have Anora winning original screenplay. It sounds like potentially a screenplay winner. It did win, and again, winning Palme d'Or, does help. But again, looking at some of these other ones, I can't really make a good, case for a lot of the other ones. Maybe Blitz. I mean, Blitz might win the BAFTA and maybe the Golden Globe. We'll have to see, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there. But the BAFTA might just go for Blitz, especially since Anora might very much just be an American thing. Unless maybe juror number, this would be kind of crazy if juror number 2 actually became the frontrunner for original screenplay. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know. There is going to be a lot of dialogue. There is an interesting aspect to this film that, again, the plot synopsis is very fascinating. And there is a really good ensemble cast, so you're going to be hearing a lot of back and forth. But will that result in an original screenplay win? I don't know. I don't really know about that. Emilia Perez, even though I don't have this in for director, there is one pattern that I've really noticed that someone pointed out. And that was if you're an international film getting into Best Picture, you get nominated for screenplay. even if you're like the Zone of Interest or Roma, which you would not think those were like, you know, dialogue driven movies or screenplay driven movies. Like I've always and this is something I've kind of been saying, like this is sort of what I was saying to Brother Bro when I was saying that I think the Zone of Interest would get in to adapted screenplay, how it could get in is that, you know, yeah, when you see people like the Critics' Choice Awards or the Golden Globes nominating things for screenplay, they usually are very talky, but the reason why movies like The Zone of Interest or 1917 or All Quiet on the Western Front, why they can get into why they can get into the screenplay categories in the Oscars, despite not, you know, put like at least seemingly dialogue heavy, is that these are branched categories that are nominated by the actual writers, and if you're a writer, you know, you're going to be very fascinated in not just, the dialogue is cool, but also how the screenplay describes the visuals. Like, how is the writing of the script, like, describing what you're supposed to see on screen? Is it a page turner? And having read some of the screenplays, you know, for 1917, All Quiet, you know, it is, like, they really are page turners. They do a great job describing the scene. And so even if it's, you know, an international film, I think the screenplay branch the writer's branch just might do it because they probably do read the screenplays and they know what goes into writing a screenplay. And so that's why I do have Emilia Perez here, even though I think it is probably going to be more dialogue heavy than something like The Zone of Interest or All Quiet on the Western Front. Again, I do like that. I do want to go with that stat of international films getting into screenplay categories, because that seems to have worked out a lot. And the same thing goes for the Seed of the Sacred Fig. Again, international films just tend to get into the screenplay categories if they are in Best Picture. Then we have The Room Next Door, which admittedly could definitely happen. The reason why I'm not putting in right now is because I do want to have Best Picture nominees in there, because like, especially in recent years, they've been really like kind of putting in like the Best Picture nominees over films that aren't in Best Picture. I mean, good God, like even, look at the best, even like, look at the screenplay categories this year. The category for adapted screenplay was completely dominated by Best Picture nominees, and with original screenplay, the only reason why it didn't go 5 out of 5 for for original screenplays was because most of the movies nominated for Best Picture were adaptations. So they could just squeeze. So at that point, they could just squeeze in May, December in there. So I don't know. Like right now, I'll keep out The Room Next Door because I don't have it in Best Picture yet. And honestly, I don't know which of these films I would cut out, because Anora, I think, is in winning contention. And I do like that stat of international films getting into the screenplay categories. And Jury Number 2, I feel like it's going to be very dialogue heavy. But then there's also Blitz, and I don't know. But then again, there is that stat, of, the writer's branch nominate these movies. Like, so I don't know. Maybe, like, I don't know. This is just kind of what I'm feeling right now. Again, if The Room Next Door seems significantly stronger in Best Picture, I might bump it up. So yeah. Dee Dee, that might happen, but again, I want to see this thing rise up in Best Picture a little bit more. Hard Truths, admittedly, I don't know if I feel this at number 8 anymore. I probably drop it down a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, eh. His Three Daughters, it is going to be a Netflix film, but I don't know. They might just go all in for Emilia Perez and call it a day. Challengers, perhaps, yeah. But then again, there is also Queer. Like, if Queer is considered more well loved, then I don't know. But even then, at the same time, with Challengers, again, I don't have it in Best Picture. So yeah, A Real Pain, I don't know if that's really going to happen. Maria, I don't know. I feel like that, again, this might get in for lead actress, cinematography, and maybe costume design. Maybe costume design happens, but again, do I really think Maria is going to happen in screenplay when none of other what's his name? Pablo Larraín. None of other Pablo Larraín's films, to my knowledge, have made it that far. So I don't think that's going to happen for Maria. Kinds of Kindness, I don't know. Maybe the most it gets would be like Writers Guild, or Oh no, actually no. Writers Guild. What am I thinking? It's probably not going to get Writers Guild because I don't think Yorgos Lanthimos is part of the Writers Guild of America. Maybe it gets Critics' Choice. I don't know, but it doesn't sound like a movie that's gonna get into like be this strong. The Apprentice. The more I hear about not the controversies, but more the legal challenges of this film, and the more that no one has picked up this film for distribution, the more I'm thinking it might get. There's a chance it might be goose egged. Even lead actor, I think is in trouble right now. And then the end, because I wanted to round out 15 films, but I don't know. I'm feeling very confident with the top 7 at least. The top 7 I'm feeling very, very confident in more than anything else. So yeah. Adapted screenplay. This is where we get a little bit more competition here. We get a little bit more competition with adapted screenplay. Now, again, I feel like in order to win Best Picture, I think, Sing Sing would need to win at least this. Because I don't think it's going to win Best Director, so it would need adapted screenplay to come along with it. And yes, it is an adapted screenplay. Stop predicting it for original screenplay. It's based on an article, so stop predicting it for original screenplay. It's adapted. So yeah, Sing Sing, I feel like this is the path it would need to take to win Best Picture. At minimum, it needs adapted screenplay and potentially supporting actor. Because I know people are going with lead actor for Colman Domingo, and I still think Colman Domingo right now might win lead actor. But come on, as I said in my last video, if Sing Sing is winning Best Picture, why in the world would Clarence Macklin lose to Samuel L. Jackson, who's in a movie that is not even really locked in for a Best Picture nomination? Might not even happen. So yeah, I don't know. But regardless, Sing Sing, Best Picture, that would need to happen. The Fire Inside, I'm keeping an eye on that because it is written by Barry Jenkins. And again, this movie could be you have that December release. Something tells me it might just be like that kind of inspirational sports movie. And especially if you're written by Barry Jenkins, I feel like I really want to take that seriously. Dune Part 2. I know there's some people that are saying, they're kind of worried about, maybe it might slip. It's like, it's not going to slip. This movie's considered better than the first film. There's a lot more dialogue heavy scenes in this film. And again, the way it's describing some of those scenes might be considered very, very cool. It's good. I think Dune's fine, guys. I think Dune will be fine. Joker Folie à Deux. Again, Best Picture. I have it in because I think this would make sense. Even if it doesn't get director, I feel like it would at minimum get adapted screenplay. Especially with how imaginative this would be as a musical. It would probably be very interesting to analyze the screenplay. And then here, because again, I feel like the screenplay alone would drive it to a Best Picture nomination because it is Eric Roth. So, and I guess this would be where the Oscar nominees for Best Picture end, so I kind of have to put here in here. The collaboration, though, if the collaboration becomes stronger in picture, I might put it in, because it is written by Anthony McCartan, and that's a very good stat, because good God, his movies get into Best Picture. But at the same time, he's kind of spotty he's kind of spotty in the screenplay categories, because while he did get nominated for The Theory of Everything and The Two Popes, he didn't get nominated for Darkest Hour and Bohemian Rhapsody. So even if this movie's in screenplay, it seems like they don't feel like they have to nominate it. If this movie's in Best Picture, it feels like the Oscars aren't going to feel, emboldened to nominate the movie for adapted screenplay. Conclave, I don't know. I don't think that's happening. Queer. Again, if Conclave does turn out to be more than just a thriller, then I might put it in. But again, something about that just doesn't sit right with me. Queer. Again, maybe if this movie is very well beloved and people don't let go of it, it might happen. The Nickel Boys. Again, I need to see how this film plays out in a narrative function. Because I'm really wondering if this movie is going to be a digestible thing for the Academy, or if it's going to be like Till, where it's so disturbing that they don't want to really go for it. They don't really want to watch it. Even though I feel like Till should have gotten a screenplay nomination and absolutely should have gotten a nomination for lead actress. Hell, I think Danielle Day-Weiler should have won, but Regardless, Hitman, Jesus Christ, Hitman is like everyone is buzzing over Hitman. Like, people are going gaga over this film. It currently has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, and audiences love this movie as well. Like, it has like a 93%, which is very fascinating, and 82 on Metacritic. Like, that's very fascinating. A 7.0 on IMDb though. That is interesting. Like, this is tough. But I don't know. Like, the fact that people are really, really loving Hitman. But again, I don't think it's going to be a Best Picture contender, so I don't think it'll get in. I think it'll definitely get into, like, the Writers Guild Awards. I think Hitman, I would be kind of surprised at the end of the... unless something happens at the... Like, we'll have to see how the race goes, but as of right now, I'd be kind of surprised if Hitman did not make the Writers Guild Awards. The Piano Lesson, I don't know. I don't know about that because... it is a stage adaptation, and stage adaptations tend to be very spotty for best adapted screenplay nominations. Like, yes, Fences did get nominated, but however, you look at a lot of the other films, and it's not even just musicals, like West Side Story, or Tick Tick Boom, or Les Miserables. It's not even just musicals, but even like regular stage adaptations, like The Whale, like, which is mainly like, I think, which like that didn't get in, which I think that might have something to do with the fact that, you know, when it comes to these stage adaptations, these movie adaptations of stage productions, there is a good argument to make. There is an argument to be made that because they literally just say word for word what was in the stage show, that, you know, it kind of like, because they say everything word for word, basically, there's not much of an adaptation to be had. And when you're saying, well, what about The Father? That won Best Adapted Screenplay. Yes, but however, you could also sense that there was a big change in medium. Like, even if the dialogue was largely the same, the way the screenplay would, like, describe the editing, like, describing the changing of the rooms, like, you could see that being, like, because it was more of a translation to a film medium, that's probably why it got, like, got nominated. And even then, admittedly, if it were just the writer's branch choosing the winners, it probably wouldn't have won. It probably would not have gone to The Father. So yeah. Gladiator 2, I don't know. Okay, the first Gladiator was nominated for original screenplay. But, again, sequel, you know, are they going to do that? And it's not like... well, then again, I do have Joker in here, but again, I'm not even predicting Gladiator as of right now for Best Picture. And even then, if it were to get into Best Picture, it might be considered Avatar: The Way of Water, where it's not that even anywhere. So I don't know. And Inside Out 2, it is doing very, very well right now. And the first Inside Out got nominated for original screenplay, but I don't know. It's not as beloved as the first Inside Out, and even then, even if it was, the Oscars don't like animated movies anymore. Like, they've just been weirdly snubbing animated movies, even if you would think that they would be clear picks for certain nominations, like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse for original score. That didn't even happen. And even Soul, like, this was the most baffling one to me. Pixar's Soul, in a pandemic year where there weren't a lot of great options for movies, even the Academy, not even just the Academy, no one went for Soul in original screenplay, even though it's considered by many to be like, yeah, this is maybe one of Pixar's best. Like, no one went for it in original screenplay. Like, something happened where I feel like the tide kind of turned, and animated movies are just getting less and less above the line nominations. Like, people don't really care about animated movies anymore. Again, Inside Out was the last animated film to be nominated for a screenplay Oscar. So I think because of the, changing tides, I think we're just not going to see animated movies like get these kind of, big nominations anymore. So, yeah, those are my predictions for the directing and screenplay categories. And now I'm going to pass the question off to you. What do you think are your predictions for, best director, best original screenplay, and best adapted screenplay? I'm on Award Expert at the Hannahcast. You can find me there. And consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you don't, you'll be inside out